It's Kalia Monique. My first name's Kalia. My middle name's Monique. It's Kalia Monique. Today I have my autumnal wrap up for you all, and this one, I'm so happy. As I stated in my August wrap up, I believe I am no longer doing monthly wrap ups, but after every 3 months, I will be doing a wrap up of the books that I've read that have been impactful to me. So if they were really amazing books, then I'll be discussing those. But also, if they left a nasty taste in my mouth, and I feel very passionately about that, I will also be discussing those books. This season, I am fortunate enough to have a collection of books here that were very impactful to me as an individual, as a reader, as the target audience. Just like these books were so great and again just so impactful. I feel like I've learned so much from these books. These books have made me feel so many different emotions and so many different things. I have cried with some of these books. I have screamed with some of these books. I have laughed. I really have run the gambit of emotions when it comes to the books that I'll be sharing with you all today, and I cannot wait to get to it. It was very humbling for me to count out how many books of mine I have not yet read. I don't want to talk about it, okay? I don't want to talk about it. It's just so exhausting. Oh my god, no pictures, please. Yelling at them, just leave, get out, like leave now. We don't need to go through all this. So why? Why are you heading towards trauma on purpose? They love me too. You're literally sunshine as a person, but thank you. Thank you so much. Now, before I get into my official wrap up, I do have an honorable mention here for books that I did read during fall. Like I read them in November. However, I do have a video coming up where I go very in-depth on the series, and so I don't want to go too in-depth on my thoughts on the series now because there's a whole video where I go very in-depth on the entire series coming out soon. But also, I couldn't imagine filming this video without mentioning these books, so here I am. And that series is the Poppy War Trilogy by R.F. Kuang. I love these 3 books so much. I mean, quick preview of that video. I really did enjoy reading these 3 books. I felt so many things. R.F. Kuang found a way to depict a story that was so strongly developed through the characterization of the various people that she wrote about. It definitely, to me, felt like a more character-driven story that still was heavy in the plot. I am very drawn to people and their stories. That is one of the reasons I decided to major in journalism, is because I really enjoy the stories that people tell. The way R.F. Kuang has really driven the impact of war on the people through her characterizations and the character developments of the various people in this book was so heart-wrenching, and like it really just led me through this whole trilogy so strongly, and so like it just had me captured the entire time I was reading them. Look out for my fantastical journeys with the author with R.F. Kuang. That will be coming out a week from today. The first book that I would like to mention is Long Way Down by Ryan Reynolds. Oh my gosh, you guys. I am so sorry. The author of Long Way Down is Jason Reynolds. I am so sorry to this author. I keep mixing up his name with Ryan Reynolds. And literally, there is a part in this video where I'm like, oh, did I say the name right? No, it's so-and-so. So I'm going to keep the part where I thought I messed up and said his name correctly in there, and then continue to have it wrong for the rest of the time that I am talking about this book. Jason Reynolds wrote Long Way Down. He did an amazing job at it, and I am a fool. I am so sorry. I do not have that one, so I will have it hovering over here. I read this through the audiobook, and it was stunning. Did I say Ryan Reynolds? Yeah, okay. Right? I said Ryan Reynolds, right? Not Jason? I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this book. I read it in one sitting. It was not hard to do considering I was listening to the audiobook, and it is a story told in verse. Man, is it stunning. I mean, okay, how Long Way Down is a story told in verse in which a character named Will is going to avenge the murder of his brother, and his plan is to do so by killing the person he thinks killed his brother. Now, as he is on his way down, the elevator is stopping on every single floor. And as Will is going down on the elevator, he is realizing that maybe the people entering the elevator have more to do with his reason for being there than he thinks. It is very hard not to spoil this darn book because it is so small and so quick. But man, I promise you will not regret listening to this or reading it, however you decide to consume this story. I strongly suggest listening to the audiobook. Ryan Reynolds himself narrates it, and to hear him narrate the verses, just stunning. And there's also, and at least in the audiobook I listened to, he had an interview afterward in which he discussed like his reasonings for writing the story as he did. And he had mentioned how this is taking place right after Will has discovered that his brother has been murdered, and how Will himself is feeling a lot of adrenaline. And so that had a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds' reasoning for writing out this story in verse, because of how just like blatant each line is, and very to the point and quick and kind of all over the place, as though like you're feeling an adrenaline rush with Will. It is stunning. I still want to cry just thinking about this book, because it truly was so impactful to hear the impacts of gun violence and just violence in general against so many people, and how it can really just plague a community. And also in the depiction of just like the ripple effect of gun violence and violent deeds like that. Just like Will is willing to kill somebody to avenge his brother's death, somebody else was on that same path. Somebody else had that same thought. It's easy when you love someone so deeply, like that's his brother. You love someone so deeply and so intensely, and for somebody to so recklessly rip them from you and like just like tear away at your world like that. Yeah, just like I want to cry. I want to cry, so it's hard to finish my sentences. But like, for someone to rip away at your world and to tear your world apart in that way, and the anger you feel and the closure you may never receive, and that depiction in this story just amazed me. I thoroughly recommend listening to the audiobook. If you can find the one that had the interview alongside it, definitely recommend that. It was honestly beautiful. Oh my god. Now for the next book I read in autumn that truly impacted me is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I'm about to cry again. Y'all, when I tell you I love these books, I loved these books with my whole heart. In Legendborn, Bree is dealing with the grief of having just lost her mother in a terrible accident. And to help her deal with her grief, Bree decides to run as far away from home as she possibly can in the safest way possible by going to a college program for gifted youth. But while she's in this program, one night she comes across these magical beings, demon-like creatures, and the wizards fighting them. And now Bree is all types of confused and is trying to understand what is going on. Now, while Bree is trying to sort out what she is seeing in front of her, a Merlin actually comes and erases Bree's memory. Now, little did he know, by doing that, he activated memories from when Bree's mother passed away, in which another Merlin also tried to erase her memory. So now Bree's like, this feeling of a person trying to erase my memory is a kind of reminding me of some things. Oh crap, somebody erased my memory back then when my mom was in her accident. What? And they're feeling so similar. Like, what is going on? So Bree decides to find her way into the secret society to figure out why that Merlin's use of their abilities to erase her memory reminds her of someone erasing her memory from when her mother passed away. This book. Just this book. The magic system in this book, so beautifully done. How Tracy Deonn has depicted legacies and the inheritance you get from your ancestors, just like that ancestral line being passed down from generation to generation, and how impactful it can truly be for somebody here in the present to be still so deeply impacted by the things that have happened 2, 3, 4 generations before them. It just really hit, honestly, it just really hit home and just felt so good to read. Like, oh my God, I love Bree so much. To have it was just like black girl magic. And at the root of all of this, how strong Bree is. I cannot wait for this second book. Oh my God. Catch me crying in the club when it come out. Like, I just, love this book so much. It's so beautiful. Hey, Bree baby. Alright, so next up, I will be talking about the Kiss Quotient trilogy. Now for this trilogy, I do have a date with the author video, which I will have up in the cards and linked down below. But I've been sitting on this trilogy, like, after I finished doing the video and everything. And just like watching other people read it and just like living my life, I will constantly think about these characters and think about what Helen Hoang has done with these books. And I'm amazed. The more time that passes between me reading these books, the more I seem to love them, and the more I love what Helen Hoang has done with these books. What I love the most about this trilogy is the vulnerability that the author depicts as she's writing her characters. I'm gonna admit, I don't always read the author's note. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Bad Clea, I'm working on it. I really am. But this is absolutely an whose author's notes absolutely matters. Just, again, it's another time where she's very vulnerable with her readers. In the Kiss Quotient, Helen Hoang had kind of examined more of her experiences throughout life after she was diagnosed with high-functioning autism. And she was diagnosed later on in life as an adult with high-functioning autism. Helen Hoang really kind of explored different scenarios and different instances, and a way of kind of exploring, is this something I experienced because of my autism and being high functioning on the autism spectrum, or is this simply me and my experiences in life, just like me and my personality? And so I truly love Stella as a character because of that. Stella is not an exact blueprint of Helen Hoang, but you can tell by how vulnerable some of the acts are and some of the commentary surrounding Stella's needs to do certain things. You can kind of tell that it is influenced by the author's own experiences. So that was really amazing and great. But then in the Bride Test, Helen Hoang still continues to have that narrative of having a main character, finding love, and being high functioning on the spectrum, and really family dynamics within that. Like, what happens when your family isn't willing to listen to the fact that you're diagnosed with high functioning and isn't willing to adjust in their communication with you, and how does that all work and go about. However, when you read the author's note, she discusses how the character Esme was very much influenced by her mother as a character, and how Esme was originally this supposed to be like this backdrop character that got in the way of Kai finding love. And then as she was writing the character, that started to be influenced by her mom. Esme just kept being more and more prevalent in the story and started to become the heroine of the story. And you can tell that in her writing. You can kind of tell that this is an author that cares for her characters so much that the characters start to create their own story as the author's writing. And I think that that's just a really cool way to write and a very interesting experience. And not all authors choose to write their stories or to develop their stories in that way. Helen Wong's characters are the leads of their stories. Every single one of these books are absolutely led by the characters, and you can kind of see, like when Helen Wong was discussing how Esme kind of took on a whole new role and became a character of like independent of herself. You can see that in all of her different characters, of kind of how she has her ideas for these characters and then creates the story and lets the character tell her where she wants them to lead and where she wants them to go. So I thought that was very cool and amazing. And then we hit the heart principle. And she shattered my heart. Like, there was no warning. I did not see it coming. If you would like to know more in depth about my thoughts on this trilogy, go ahead and check out that video. But I will always say, this book felt like I was reading Helen Wong's diary. It felt like I was a fly on the wall of her therapy sessions. This book was so vulnerable, so raw. I can't imagine how Helen Wong was able to publish this work. I wouldn't want anyone to have a say in this book at all. And she mentioned that in her author's note, that at the end of the day, she doesn't care what anyone has to say about this book, because this book was something she wrote for herself, and that is just the story is out there now. And I respect that so much, because again, this story was so raw, and it was Helen Wong exploring her experiences being a caregiver to her mother. This book hurt. The hopelessness that Anna was feeling, the dismay that Quan was feeling in having someone he cares about suffering and not knowing, like, how can I help you? All I want to do is help you. But you can't really, because like the person really some of this they have to do by themselves. And as somebody who loves somebody who is in pain in this way, you just have to be there for them, and how painful that can be. And it was just so honest, so guttural and raw. I again think about this book all the time. I think about Anna and Quan all the time. Or Anna. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I think about Anna's story all the time. And I think of her as like a real character. Like, I hope she's okay. I think of her as like she's a real person. I'm like, I hope Anna's okay. Like, love, 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 love. The next book I will be discussing is It's Not About the Burka, edited by Miriam Khan. This is a collection of essays by various writers. And this book, okay, so this book is best described by these final 3 lines here on the synopsis. So I'm going to just do that real quick, in which it states, what does it mean exactly to be a Muslim woman in the West today? According to the media, it's all about the burqa. Here's what it's really about. So, It's Not About the Burqa is a collection of essays written by various Muslim women. Literally so great and so amazing. I read It's Not About a Burqa all in one sitting. It was fantastic. I literally started it late at night and was like, okay, I'm just going to read a little bit and then get back to it tomorrow morning. That was what I said to myself. I told myself that because that's what a reasonable adult would have done, considering how late it was at night. I didn't stop reading this book until I had finished the book. That was not the plan. That was not what we were planning on doing, but it's what we did. And do we regret it? No. This book was so amazing. I loved just the stories that were told, the perspectives I was given. I feel like I learned so much, and also it felt so empowering to read. Like, I am not a Muslim woman, and yet I still felt empowered by these women's stories. It just gave us these women's perspectives on their lives, while also being so empowering of, this is what is expected from me, and this is who I am as a woman. This is what my life story is showing me to be. I felt so empowered. I felt so united with these women. It just was stunning and so impactful. I absolutely recommend this one It's Not About the Burka. So many great essays, just so beautiful. Like, I could not put this book down. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna read this essay and then go to bed, and then that essay would be amazing. I'll be like, one more essay, and then one more essay, and one more, until I was done with the book. I love this book so much. It was so great. The next book I have here is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. Duh. Like, did we think I wasn't gonna mention it? I love this book. I love it so much. I am terrified of it. That hand, the description of the hand, if you know, you know. Why would she do that like that? Like, why would she do me like that? White Smoke follows Marigold and her family as they move into a new home after her mom gets a writing fellowship for a program. Now, under this writing fellowship, Bree's mother must complete an entire novel while living in the house that the program provides, which is great. They bought a house for them. That's great. I don't have to pay for anything. All I gotta do is live at home. Yeah, no problem. I can do that. No, you can't, because this house is haunted. And it's so clear that this house is haunted from the second they move in. This Bree's family is a mixed family. Now, the mom has remarried a white man. Bree, her mother and brother are all black, and then her mom remarried a white man who has a young daughter. This little girl said that she was talking to somebody that was not a member of the family, and instead of dealing with it, they just kept being like, that's her imaginary friend. Oh, she do that. No. Because you didn't know about this woman beforehand. So listen to the child. What is the child saying? Over here talking about she crazy. Okay. Now what we gonna do with her crazy ass thing? We don't have time for this. Oh, they made me really angry in this book. That was another emotion I very much felt in this book. Anger and rage. Oh no. See, I just remembered another thing, but that one's a spoiler. I didn't read this one in one sitting, but that is only because it was like chapter 13 or whatever, and something terrifying happened. I said, you know what? I don't feel like having a nightmare, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I'm going to see you in the morning, and I'm going to finish you then. And that's exactly what I did. Because this book, the descriptions in this book, Tiffany D. Jackson did a really great job in this book of really hitting the sensory of it all. Like, I felt like I could feel things I really wasn't feeling. I felt like I could smell things I wasn't smelling and hear things that were not there. Like, all the different sounds and sensory aspects of it all, I felt, I heard, and I saw. I didn't like it. This book haunted. Okay, it was a lot. And especially as Tiffany D. Jackson's first.
Oh no. Wow, this was messed up the whole time? Why didn't nobody tell me? Oh well.
Now, as Tiffany D. Jackson's first horror novel, I think she did a fabulous job. And she also still incorporated her, like, psychological thriller background within the story as well. I was feeling all types of things. I was checking the windows, making sure the door was locked, looking behind my back at all times. You done gonna catch me. You're not about to catch me. I was paranoid, okay? I felt so many things so intensely. This story, oh my goodness, just wow. The next book I will be discussing is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is the memoir of the Stanford rape case victim, in which she discusses her experiences within the court system and simply as a woman in college, and all kind of the aftermath of the Stanford rape case. This story was beautiful. I personally listened to the audiobook. I borrowed it from my library. This book was amazing. It took me quite a bit of time to actually read the book because I kept having to take breaks because, I mean, as a woman myself, there were just certain situations that really hit home and was just like it sometimes it felt like I couldn't breathe. And so I needed to take those breaks with myself. But man, was this book impactful. Chanel Miller actually narrates the audiobook herself, and so that also helps to really make this book as impactful as it was. When I tell you, the writing of this book is absolutely stunning, which if you have read her victim statement, which was published by BuzzFeed, was it BuzzFeed that published it? I believe so. Her victim statement was actually published by BuzzFeed, and I remember reading that when it came out. I don't know if you read it, but if you did, there is no surprise to anybody that she's amazing at writing. That victim statement was written so beautifully, and her book is even more beautiful. It goes even more in depth on certain scenarios. I mean, with no surprise here, she was very deeply impacted by the situation, but also as she is still going through the court system and going through the progress of this case, other things were happening in her life, and she just like how she had to continue on with life and how much the U.S. justice system was trying to pull her back to the case over and over again. Every time she tried to progress, every time she tried to move forward, this case was always looming over her head. The defense kept pushing things back to where the court date kept getting pushed back until we're like over a year out, and still there has been no justice on this case. And here he is just able to live his life because at the end of the day, he had money and the victim did not. So as she is struggling to make ends meet and struggling to keep her job because of the mental illnesses that she is dealing with after the events, after the incident, and every different thing that was impacting this victim, my heart goes out to Chanel. She is truly just so amazing. Just so amazing. Oh my God. And the fact that she didn't stop with her advocacy with just her case. She kept, like, in the book, she kept stating how so many things just felt small to her, and she felt like she wasn't doing enough in certain times, and how she would be surprised when people would tell her how impactful her story was to them, and how in hearing her story they felt unity and solidarity with her because their experiences were similar, and how that would surprise her. And I'm over here like, how were you surprised? You were so amazing. My heart just truly goes out to Chanel Miller because she's doing great things, and all the rest of us can do is sit back and stand in awe because, man, it's just so great. Also, the benefit to her narrating her own audiobook, she does have a history or a background in slam poetry and poetry, so as she's reading the book, it's kind of as though she's reciting a slam poem. Oftentimes, like, a lot of the writing felt very, I don't want to say lyrical, but it felt like you were sitting on a slam poem. Like, it felt like you were sitting and listening to poetry just by the way she was stating and the syntax she used. It just, chef's kiss, beautiful. I absolutely recommend this novel to you all. 2 reasons I was really interested in this book was because of the topics that were going to be discussed. So, of course, it's dealing with Chanel, but also she mentions the way the media covered the case, and also, of course, the court system. And I have discussed this before. I was a journalism major and I minored in criminal justice. So the 2 things that I had studied in college were focal points in this story, and it was a lot of what I had studied, and I knew this. The way the media presents information is so one-sided so often, and it can be so damaging. I truly wonder, there were just so many different times Chanel Miller would mention how things were being reported, and I would just be like, how is this journalist sleeping at night? How could you possibly write that about a victim and be completely fine? Because at the end of the day, This woman was a victim of someone's terrible deed. She was a victim. She had no control, and I don't care what state of mind she was in. I don't care what actions she engaged in. I don't care. She did not consent, and therefore, this is a horrible thing. There is no shaming her that needs to be happening. There is no looking into her background. There is no how much did she drink? Why was she at the campus? There is none of that. That does not matter. At the end of the day, this woman was violated. She did not consent, and it was absolutely disgusting and horrible. And for a reporter to even try to justify it through their words mean things. So clearly what you mean is that the deed was not as bad because of the things that the victim did beforehand. How can you say that and sleep at night? Disgusting. As Chanel Miller was discussing what certain journalists were saying about her, I wanted to vomit. It made me so angry as somebody who studied journalism to hear that other journalists were like, and not even a few journalists, it like a lot of the media was pushing this guise of it is because she was in the state that she was in, it is because she drank as much as she did that she got this way. No, it is because of the actions of the man that the incident happened. She had no control over that. She did not consent to it. It is all his fault. And to say otherwise is disgusting. Also, of course, the U.S. justice system can really... I have no nice things to say. I'm really trying to figure out how to say this without just, like, cussing. U.S. justice system is horrible, disgusting. Like, genuinely, who the hell wins? Women do not win in it, whether you are the defendant or the victim. They're gonna find a way to F you over. And I, again, have studied extenuously on how the court system really is not, it's not helping. Who is it helping? White people with money. That is who it's helping. And it just, this book, it really incited so many feelings for me. A lot of it was anger, but also the very last chapter actually was the one that hurt the most for me. I literally was in public listening to that, which was a bad decision on my part, but I was heading to a work thing, and the tears were flowing just straight down. I was like, okay, get it together. Like, it's very important that you know that this is what our court system does. This is another factor, another way in which our court system is absolutely broken and destroyed, and it's not helping. We need to make a change, and we need to make it soon, because it's absolutely impacting people of color in the most horrific way. This woman did not receive the justice that she needed, but I am absolutely happy that she was able to tell her story and with her own words, like, because what beautiful words they were, and so inciting. I stand with Chanel Miller. She made me feel stronger with her story, so I appreciate her for being willing to be as vulnerable as she was in telling this story, because I know that could not have been easy. All respects to Chanel Miller. The next book I will be discussing is Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I love this book so much. It's the romance of it all for me. Shadow of the Wind follows Danielle, and Danielle found a book called Shadow of the Wind by Julian Codax, and through his journey of loving this book, he finds out that many copies of this author's works are being destroyed. In fact, the Shadow of the Wind, the copy that Danielle has, is the final copy of any of his books out there. And so Danielle starts to investigate and starts to go on a journey to figure out what is going on with this author's books. Who is this author? Why is there somebody out there destroying their work? And what is going on? And while Danielle is on this journey and figuring out what is going on with these books, a lot of unsavory characters are starting to come out of the shadows. This is a translated work. I can't imagine how much more beautiful this book could have been in its native language. I study Spanish, but I can't read that much of it. This is a book. I could read children books. I could read middle grade level Spanish books, but I can't read. I'm not there yet. And unless I get back to studying, I will never make it there. What I loved most about this book is that romance seeped through this book. Both in Danielle and in Julian's story, there was a center in love and in romance. And also, there was this depiction and this imagery of the almost sensual love between a reader and a story that I really loved. It really felt like an intimate bond and an intimate relationship that a reader goes through with a story. And that felt like what I was going through with this book as I was reading it. I was just like, I just feel so much love. This feels so romantic. I loved the parallels between Danielle's story and Julian's because so much of their stories were the exact same. And so as Danielle discovers more and more about Julian and more of Julian's story is told to the reader, you're just like, oh goodness. I was seeing the similarities between these two people before and it was all good and fine and fun. And now I am terrified that Danielle is going to end up like Julian and I don't want that. I don't want it at all. Somebody go get him. Somebody go get him. He in trouble. I was absolutely captured by this book. Also, I love how there is this like mixing between real life and fantasy. I was really confused as to if there was like this magical element to the book or not. And I don't know if that's because I tend to read fantasy books or what, but I kept waiting for there to be this curse upon Julian and those in his life, and I guess there was in a sense. It also wasn't really said, like, the curse was life, and that's the curse we were all dealing with. So this book, oh my goodness, this book is just stunning. Again, on my mind all the time. I love this book with my whole heart, soul, and being. Goodness, I cannot wait to read the next one. I mean, first I'm gonna have to get the next book, but I cannot wait to read it because I heard from reliable sources that the second book is actually even better than the first one, so I can't wait to get there. Now, the final book that I will be discussing today is Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. This book made it right in the nick of time, and I am so happy that it did. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. There was times where I was giggling throughout this book. Simone's voice is such a wonderful one. This book is in the same place as Darius the Great Is Not Okay and Felix Ever After in my heart, but all three are books with such amazing young voices as their main characters. I just love them so much, and I think what truly is drawing me to these characters is the fact that they are marginalized in some way and how they are fighting back on that marginalization just by living and by being their true authentic selves as they go on with their identity and living their lives. It's just so beautiful to see that. Like, I feel like the old auntie now. Like, I feel like I'm old now because I'm like, oh my god, they're so cute. Like, save them babies. They're children. They're literal children. Save them. They're so cute. They're adorable. I'm just over here like, I'm so proud of you. I don't know these kids. Like, and I'm also not that old. I'm only 23. I'm not that far removed from their year, but I'm still just like, oh my god, that baby's so innocent. I love them. You would swear I was like their mama or something. So Full Disclosure follows Simone, who has just moved to a new school and has new friends and might just have a budding new relationship on the horizon. And things are going great, all until someone decides to be an absolute mean person, a horrible person, rude and disrespectful, unnecessary person who, seriously, where do you get the right? Where do you get the gall to be this horrible of a person? Now, Simone is HIV positive, and whoever this jerk face is decides that it is somehow their business to disclose Simone's information. They have sent multiple messages to Simone threatening to disclose her status, and Simone is honestly frightened and scared. They are now forcing Simone to decide whether or not she's going to take power into her own hands and disclose her status herself. I have never wanted to fight somebody more. I wanted to fight this person. I was like, where they at though? Who is it? I kept waiting. I was like, who? Just tell me who it is. I kept waiting. I was like, tell me who it is. Who is it? Just give me a name, point a finger in a direction. I got this. Give it to me. I got it. I'll deal with it. Okay? You don't get your hands dirty. Let me do it. I'll do it. Okay? You ever want to fight? I know you've wanted to fight a fictional character before. Well, this character, if I got a chance, best believe I'd fight them. I absolutely would fight this character. Not Simone. Simone, I realized I was pointing at the book and that's Simone. I would never fight Simone. I would hug Simone. The jerk face, however, can literally choke. Clearly I felt intense emotions. I felt very protective of Simone, and I love Simone so much. She's just so goofy and funny and so awkward. I couldn't help but smile while reading this book, and I loved that about this book because you would think with the subject matter it wouldn't be something you could really laugh to, but man, oh man, were there so many situations where you couldn't help but just die laughing. She's just so awkward and funny and cute. Like, she's just a teenage girl, and it shines off the page. Her personality is so vibrant and cool. Her friend group is so cute. We stand at her dads. Oh my god, I love her dads. Like, this book, love it. I love it so much. The only thing that I didn't particularly care for in this book was there were certain times that arguments would happen that I was like, where is this coming from? I'm confused. You just want to fight. Like, and I'm talking about Simone. Like, Simone would, like, there would be arguments that happened between Simone and somebody, and I was just like, where did this even come from? Like, Simone, you're just angry. Like, you just want to fight with somebody. I understand, like, why she would be more defensive of things. Just a few of the arguments that happened didn't make all that much sense to me. Like, I understood that it was Simone trying to push certain people away, but I don't know. I just wish, I don't know. I felt like she could have hit it better. That she would, like, it just seemed like it made no sense. And so the person that she would try to, like, argue with would be like, what? Like, no, we're not arguing right now. You can be upset. I'm going to be upset, but we're also, like, this is an argument. We're going to get over it. We're going to keep moving forward. But that being said, like, the book is a debut, so I can kind of see how that might just be, like, the author figuring out the writing and everything. And honestly, as a debut, this book is fantastic. Listen, these authors have been kicking it out of the ballpark lately with these debut novels that are amazing and just wow. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got some great recommendations. With that being said and done, did you enjoy the video? Did you enjoy my face, my voice, my extraness? If you did, go ahead and press that like button down below and press the subscribe button and the bell notification if you would like to be notified when I upload. If you'd like to stay connected with me as I would like to stay connected with you, I of course will have my social media linked down below as well. And if you would like to support this channel further, I of course have my Ko-fi and Amazon wishlist linked down below as well. Have you read any of the books that I've mentioned today? If you have, go ahead and let me know down below, and I would love to keep that conversation going with you all. But with that being said, I believe that is everything, although I am probably forgetting something because I always forget something. But bye guys.